Good afternoon, and a happy Friday, because Fridays can only be happy, right? Well, though these days you never know. In a very short while, I will be joined by Edem Sornu, who is the director of OCHA's Crisis Response Division in the Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. She'll be here to brief us on the humanitarian situation in Haiti, which we don't hear about all that much, and which we are trying to keep in the news, so we'll depend on you. On Monday, I will be joined virtually by Denise Brown, who, as you know, is our UN resident and humanitarian coordinator in Sudan. She will brief you. The briefing is pegged to the sad 3-year mark of the conflict in Sudan. And let me just start with an update for you on Sudan, to stay in the same area. Our not ours, but rather the Secretary General's personal envoy for Sudan, Pekka Haavisto, is concluding today his visit to Nairobi in Kenya, where he held productive engagements with actors from the Sudanese armed groups and civilian political actors, as well as with civil society representatives, member of the diplomatic community, and Kenyan authorities. In his meeting, Mr. Haavisto stressed the urgent need to pursue practical measures to de-escalate the conflict and ensure the protection of civilians. Mr. Haavisto reiterated that the conflict cannot be resolved through military means and highlighted the importance of achieving swift, tangible progress towards peace, given the devastating impact on the ongoing violence it's continuing to have on Sudan and its people. The personal envoy echoed the statements by the Secretary General and the Security Council, reaffirming the need to safeguard the sovereignty and unity and territorial integrity of Sudan, rejecting the establishment of any parallel authorities, and underscoring the commitment of the United Nations to engaging with all relevant stakeholders to advance peace. Mr. Haavisto will next travel to Berlin ahead of the ministerial level meeting on the International Sudan Conference, which is scheduled next week for April 15th. Turning to the situation in the Middle East, I can tell you that the Secretary General welcomes the U.S.-Iran talks that are being mediated by Pakistan and scheduled to start in Islamabad over the weekend. He calls on the parties to seize this diplomatic opportunity to engage in good faith towards a lasting and comprehensive agreement with a view to de-escalation and the prevention of a return to hostilities. His personal envoy, Jean Arnaud, continues to be in the region to support diplomatic efforts. The Secretary General reiterates there is no viable alternative to the peaceful settlements of international disputes in full accordance with international law, including the UN Charter. Turning to Lebanon, where our humanitarian colleagues tell us that the situation there continues to deteriorate and essential services for people in need are under extreme strain. The Lebanon's Ministry of Health reported the strikes on Wednesday across the country killed more than 300 people and injured over 1,100. This brings the total number of people killed in Lebanon since March 2nd to nearly 1,900, with more than 6,000 people injured. This is numbers given to us by the Lebanese government. Our humanitarian colleagues continue to be seriously concerned over attacks on health and emergency services. Today's strike on an ambulance killed 2 first responders in the province of Tyre. As you can imagine, the health system in the country is critically overstretched. WHO warns that some hospitals may run out of the trauma supplies with days due to the surge in casualties. Roughly 3 weeks' worth of supplies were depleted in just one day, and that was on Wednesday. Disruptions to supply chains and rising demand also threatening the availability of medicine for chronic diseases such as insulin. WHO and its partners continue to support the Ministry of Public Health, reaching more than 57,000 patients with medication to treat acute diseases and providing over 37,000 subsidized primary health care consultations, and that's just since 2nd of March. For its part, the UN Refugee Agency said today access to impacted people is increasingly constrained. Over 680 shelters hosting about 140,000 displaced people are severely overcrowded, and nearly half of Lebanon's public schools are functioning as shelters. So far, UNHCR and its partners have assisted more than 151,000 people displaced in collective shelters and 31,000 hard-to-reach areas. They're also supporting over 250,000 people who crossed into Syria, and out of those 250,000 people, there are 39,000 Lebanese who have sought refuge in Syria. The needs, of course, in Lebanon far exceed the available capacity. As the humanitarian situation continues to deteriorate, we call for an immediate de-escalation and a halt to hostilities. All parties, as you well know, must protect civilians and fully respect international humanitarian law. Health workers, ambulances, medical facilities, civilian infrastructure must be protected at all times. We need funding and other support must be able to be so we can deliver aid safely and without impediments. Turning to Gaza, where we just passed the 6 months mark of the ceasefire, our colleagues at OCHA said humanitarian organizations continue to do their best to deliver in the face of many hurdles. Our partners leading on food security tell us that in the first week of April, they distributed two food parcels of high energy biscuits and one bag of flour per family to almost 250,000 people. These distributions covered about 75% of the minimum caloric needs of people. That's up from 50%, though, in the previous months. These deliveries were complemented by cash support, allowing families to buy additional food. Our education partners continue to help children learn through temporary sites. Last week, they installed 5 new learning centers in Khan Yunis and North Gaza governorates while repairing another 17 classrooms. Overall, more than 580 temporary learning spaces are now operating across the Gaza Strip, and that is helping 360,000 children to get some form of education. Last month, most of the girls and boys received 1.2 million nutritionally enhanced snacks. Turning to the West Bank, where our humanitarian colleagues say Israeli forces have extended military orders by 2 months, prolonging the displacement of Palestinians from 3 refugee camps in Jenin and Tulkarm governorates. UNRWA estimates that this impacts more than 33,000 people who've been displaced since January of last year. OCHA calls for the lifting of these and other restrictions, which cause and prolong displacement and hamper Palestinians from accessing healthcare, education, and other basic services. And a quick humanitarian update from Afghanistan, where we are told that hostilities and harsh weathers are deepening the country's humanitarian crisis. Recent rains and subsequent flooding have resulted in casualties. Thousands of people's homes have been severely damaged or destroyed, as well as critical infrastructure. Large swaths of agricultural land across the country. Nearly 100 people have reportedly been killed so far, with over 180 injured and some still missing. Nangarhar province, which is in the eastern part of the country, has sustained the most impact. You'll recall that the province was hit by a devastating earthquake last September, which killed and injured thousands and caused extensive damage. Meanwhile, OCHA says that on Sunday, a 5.9 magnitude earthquake struck Hindu Kush region, resulting in reports of dozens of deaths and multiple injuries, in addition to damages to homes in Kabul and other places. We and our humanitarian partners have delivered assistance to more than 8,000 people so far, including food, cash, health services, emergency shelter, and other critical support. We're carrying out additional assessments to ensure the needs of the most vulnerable are met. Quick note from UN Women on the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. In a press release today, they say that hundreds of women and girls have been killed across the Middle East since 28th February attack on Iran. That includes 168 girls who were reportedly killed in a strike on their primary school in Minab in Iran. Since then, UN Women has received reports of 204 women being killed in Iran and 102 women being killed in Lebanon, even prior to April 8th bombardment there. Women and girls have also been reportedly killed in Bahrain, Iraq, Israel, Kuwait, the occupied Palestinian territory, and the UAE. More information online. Lastly, we are happy to have reached the century mark today with our 100th fully paid up member state. That was a cricket reference for my friend Iftikhar. This landlocked country has the highest number of elephants per capita, with roughly 1 elephant for every 20 people, if you take the elephant population and the human population. It's a landlocked country. Sorry? No.
And not Nepal or
No,
Thailand?
Sorry? Yes, Botswana. Sinan for the win. Yes, and we thank our friends in Gaborone. Yeah, there are about 130,000 elephants in Botswana. On that note, don't ask me the difference between Asian and African elephants, but I will go to Amélie. Yeah, I know, it's a size ears. I never know which one have the bigger ears.
Thanks, Steph. About Special Envoy Haavisto, what's the next step? I mean, a few months ago, his predecessor was talking about organizing some technical talks with the two parties in Geneva. What's going on with that? I mean, is there any plan to bring the two parties together?
I think it's a little early right now to lift the curtain. Mr. Haavisto, I think, has really hit the ground running. He was in Khartoum, where he met with the president. As you know, he met Mr. Hemeti in Nairobi, the head of the RSF, met a number of others, leaders of armed factions. I think the Berlin conference, which is happening on 15th April, is an important marker, and I think as soon as he's able to kind of update us more publicly, he will. Edie.
Thanks, Steph, and apologies if you already said this. Is Jean Arnaud planning to go to Islamabad?
He is currently still in Tehran. He'll be staying in the region for next few days. I don't think he will be in. Yeah. See, I care about you more than I care about my boss. He will will update you on his travel. I don't expect him to be in Islamabad over the weekend.
Is anybody going to be in Islamabad representing the United Nations?
Not specifically for these talks, but we will be kept appraised.
And on Lebanon, is there an amount of money that the UN is still seeking for?
There is. I don't have it on the top of my head, but we will get it for you. Gabriel.
Thank you, Steph. I have a question about the Samud flotilla that is expected to set sail towards Gaza as early as this weekend. It's being billed as the largest coordinated maritime civilian-led effort to get aid into Gaza. People from more than 70 different countries are represented. What is the Secretary General's message to particularly Israel, which we've seen in the past use some very harsh and could be interpreted illegal response in international waters?
We want to make sure that whatever is planned is done safely and no one is put in harm's way. For us, the best and most efficient way to deliver humanitarian aid would be for the Israeli authorities to increase the number of crossings. Right now, it's Karim Shalom Abu Salam that is the only crossing available to UN, to NGOs, to commercial traffic. We need more. There are more gates. We need them to be opened. Okay, let's go to Abu Sufyan, and then we'll go to our guest.
Thank you, Steph. Does the United Nations welcome the decision of formalize into law the ban on the activities of Awami League, which was initially imposed by the previous interim government led by Professor Mohammad Yunus in response to the recent student uprising and alleged mass killing during its period of undemocratic rule in Bangladesh?
Sorry, I'm not aware of this development, so I don't want to pronounce myself on it. Okay, thank you. I don't see any other questions online. I will get our